Welcome to the Unlock the Genius Within podcast. My name is Jordan Debano, founder of the Creative Genius Academy. And on this show, I'll be teaching you the principles to unlocking the part of your consciousness where your true genius and potential lives. Thanks for joining me today, and let's get into the episode. Welcome back to the Unlock the Genius Within podcast. My name is Jordan Debano, and we are coming to you live from Ubud. I'm in Bali right now. If you're watching on YouTube, you could probably see I'm in my hotel room. It's day 3 here on this trip. And, even when you're on holidays, guys, you got to keep the creativity coming. So I got yesterday that it wasn't time because I was on a massive hike up a volcano. So when I got back, I'm like, you know what? I'm too exhausted. I'm not going to do it today. And there's some things that's landing that I took away from this hike that kind of I want to share on this podcast. And then, got up this morning. I thought, okay, it's good to start sharing. So we're going to be getting into a very powerful episode today. I'm going to be speaking to you about your true nature, unlocking your essence, what you're like in your heart. And essentially that's very important because once you get a sense of that, once you can really embody it, you become more magnetic as a leader. You become someone that can create things that are truly meaningful to you and to others. And there's just a lot more flow in your life. Now, I know that word flow can get quite a bad rap at times because we can think, things can be really hard, and I've got all these problems and things aren't really going my way right now. Flow's a bunch of shit. I need to figure all this out. When I say the word flow, I'm not talking about stopping and just waiting for things to come to you. When I say flow, I mean you're in such a state, and I'm sure you've all experienced this, where things actually line up for you. You're taking action, but the action gets easier because things are just coming to you, like the right opportunities, the right people. You go to the sales meeting and the customer's on time. Your staff members hand you feedback that's actually useful. Like all of that, you create it. Like you might not think you do, but you actually do. Like opportunities aren't luck. They land in your lap when you are in your true nature and you're connected to that. So we're going to be speaking about that today. And I want to start off with a few misconceptions that people have about true nature and being connected to that really powerful, expansive part of themselves. And then we're going to get into some very powerful principles that you can use, and we'll actually do some practices today because with this particular topic, you will actually need some visualization techniques to help you embody it. So let's start off. Misconceptions. So a lot of people think, well, my true nature, in order for me to be the most powerful I can, the most magnetic I can, my true nature is really what's demanded of me. So let's say you're in a business that's high pressure. You're in a sales environment. I speak about sales because that's the background I've come from. And lots of people from that space usually think I need to be like in beast mode. I need to become a beast to get the results that I want here. And that is true, and it's not the wrong way of doing it, but it's only true in one orientation. If you knew that you had both a survival orientation, where it's all about just getting through the day and achieving the bare minimum to survive, versus you had another orientation that was intuitive and that was about creating results that expanded not only you, but the company you work for, you would look at beast mode and go, well, I'm going to put this down and I'm going to go in this direction. Okay. Because your level of creativity determines the level of expansion that you experience yourself as a human being and that your company will experience. And that's very important because I believe in my life, whenever I've expanded and I've created expansion around me, that's not only when more money's come into my life, but it's when I've been my most happiest. It's when I've experienced the most joy. You know, yesterday was a classic example. I had to get up at 2 a.m. To go on this hike up a volcano, and my ego's going, dude, are you freaking serious? 2 a.m. wake up call. We're going to walk up this bloody thing in the dark. You're going to miss like half a day being at the resort, and you won't be able to chill by the pool and go and hang out in the cafes and network around here. And I'm just like, man, we got this intuitively. So let's just let go of what beast mode thinks I should do on this holiday. Like, you can literally apply this to anything, guys. We're going to drop those survival ideas and we're just going to go and do this. And I tell you what, the insights, the friendships, the memories that I've created as a result of doing that hike yesterday was worth this whole trip already. Like, if I did not create anything else on this Bali trip, that is worth the whole time I've taken out to be here. So it's never what's demanded of you. I want you to replace that with, what would I love to create? You know, if you're aware of what you would love to create, the expansion is going to take you into your true nature, where things start to land for you. But in the survival orientation, guys, you will have to continue to defeat yourself to, you know, make success work. And what I mean by that, like, you'll come up against your limiting beliefs. You'll experience, you know, all those heavy, stressful emotions that really target the body, where you can feel it like in your hips and your back and your chest or your neck, and you know, you get cramped up. That's the survival orientation. And defeating yourself is like, well, I need to work on my beliefs. I need to go and do more stretching. I need to get a standing desk now. And like, you're constantly trying to get outside yourself because it's all about you. But when you realize that true nature, it's not about what's demanded of you, it's about creating expansion. That's when you can really start to become a powerful being, because things come to you. The universe is like, finally serving something bigger. So we're going to create expansion in Johnny's life, or Johnny's professional career, right? So that's the first one. Now, the second misconception that people have is it's what feels great. It's what's great, you know. You know, when I'm being funny, when I'm being loud, when I'm talking a lot, or when I'm, you know, safe and not saying much, or when I'm being the smartest person in the room, whatever your story is, that's when I'm myself. And, you know, again, that is only half the truth, because your true nature can be those elements. But if it's coming from, I just need to get through this day, or I just need to get through this party that I'm at, or this networking event, or this hike that I'm on in Bali, and I'm going to be really, really joyous and everything, but it's coming from that part of you that's like, man, we're actually really scared, or we're actually really insecure about being here. People are going to receive it in not a threatening way. It's not going to be received very well, because it's not in service. It's all about you. So with this, again, you want to drop, it's what feels great, because again, you're turning the cameras back on you. But if you're able to go, well, when I'm creating what's meaningful to me, and we're getting into a little of the principles here, when I'm creating something that's meaningful to me, what does that actually feel like? That's when you'll see that your energy changes, it changes from something that is taking from people to I'm giving out. And because I'm giving out, I'm telling the universe I have, and therefore I'll have more. You know, it's a principle of have-nots and haves. This is something that I spent quite a bit of time learning about, and it's very simple. You would have heard of it before. It's, you know, those who have not and are always focused on scarcity and a lack of supply, like money or the wrong people, or, you know, like keep bumping into the wrong people and they're on these dates with me, and it's just not the right partner. Whatever your story is, if you're focused on the lack, you will create more lack. And this works the same with energy. If you're coming from lack and you're using a strategy to cover that up so you don't feel it, people on some level can feel that their energy and their time is being taken, right? No one ever wants that. But if you're in service and you're like, well, when I'm actually creating something that I love, and that's about expansion and literally growing me and growing what's around me, people can feel you're giving energy. And what that says, and again, not everyone's aware of this, 99% of people aren't. They go, well, Johnny must have. So I want to give, right? Because that's what you're doing. It's like, oh, yeah, I have now. I don't feel like I'm being taken. They don't go on the back foot. Yeah, it's a very, very powerful principle. So those are the misconceptions. Now, just before we go on and we go into these key premises, here's what I want to challenge you with. I want you to ask yourself, just take out a pen and just ask yourself, like, what do I slip into the most? Do I go into, and pick a scenario here, you at work or with your partner, family, and just ask yourself, like, do I change my behavior and the way I operate in these environments based on my environment and what that's actually demanding of me? Or am I constantly thinking, how can I feel best in these environments? Ask yourself, which one are you? Are you like scenario 1 or scenario 2? And then once you've done that, press play again, and we will get on to the key premises for connecting to your true nature. All right, we'll see you in a bit. All righty, guys, welcome back. We are going to be jumping into the key premises around unlocking your true nature. So this, and I want to just reiterate how important this is for you guys, because it's, we can get so caught up in how we do things, and we can constantly put the power in, I need to know the best how, like the best strategy, the best process. And the thing is, when the power's there, when our focus is there, we really do discount how incredibly magnificent we are and how easy things can be when we're in our heart. This is something that I never wanted to embrace back in the day. I'm like, nah, it's all bullshit. The world's hard. I need to hustle. I need to work hard. Or, with my relationships, it's like I need the best communication strategies. I need to be a certain way around my family, and then be a different person in front of my friends, and then be a different person in the business. Like, it was just exhausting. And my intention for this whole podcast, by the end of it, is I want you to like really be in a place where you're like, no, everything that I love creating in my life gets the same me. This is what I really want you to embrace. You don't need to change for any of your creations. In fact, okay, everything that you're creating is a representation of your heart, and therefore you just show up in the same way. And that's going to be an amazing journey for you guys to start to embark on, if it does call you after this episode. So let's get into premise 1. And premise 1 is this: we have a personality, we have a persona, and we have a character. I want you to write this down. We have a personality, a persona, and a character. And this is really just an awareness piece. And we will do an exercise at the end of this episode on this, so you can actually experience it. So your persona. All right, actually, let's start with your personality. It's more important to start there. Your personality. Now, lots of people are like, well, it's really important we have a great personality, and that's what we hire off, or that's what I'm looking for in a partner. Or my personality can be this, and I'm only keen on showing that. Like, whatever your thing is with personality, I want to clear something up here, because the definition in this work that I do and that my business serves people with is, we define personality as who we think we are. It's who we think we are. And we've made that up from the moment that we're born. I want you to write that down. We have made up who we think we are. We've gone through experiences. We've met people in the world that we deemed powerful, weak, successful, non-successful, happy, sad. And on that spectrum, okay, of pain and pleasure, forming our beliefs and our emotions in our unconscious mind, we have said, yeah, right, okay, well, this is who I think I am. And usually people will do this based on what feels good, what looked good out there, what felt good out there, and they go, right, this is going to be me. That's your personality. And again, there's nothing wrong with creating from this place, but again, it's all about you. It's because it's who you think you are. It's not who you actually are. Yeah. Or should I say it's who you've learnt to be. That's your personality. Now, your persona. This is where this gets like really deep. Okay. And personality and persona actually makes up your identity, along with values as well. It makes up your identity, and people can get so caught up in their identity, really thinking that it matters. But anyhow, we're going to cover that later. I don't even know if we'll get onto the full spectrum of identity here and how separate it is to your genius, but just know that it's separate for now. Your persona. Your persona is who you think others think you are. I want you to write this down. This is so important to understand. We have who we think we are, a certain lens that colors and changes the world we see in front of us. And then we have how we think others think we are. So we'll look around. Let's say we're in Bali, like I am now. And if I'm in my identity, I'm going to look around in Ubud and go, right, how do all of these people, let's say the locals, how do the locals think I am? Or who do they think I am? And if I'm in that, my behavior, my energy, the way I show up is going to change. It's just going to change, and it's going to become something that is not me, right? Okay, now picture I go back home, go to a family dinner, and then I'm going to change again if I'm in my identity, because it'll be like, well, how does my mum, my brother, my grandparents, my auntie, my uncle, my cousins, how do they think I am, or who do they think I am? And then I'll change again. And the danger of this, and you know, we can go on forever. When you go to work, when you're in your business, or you're with your partner, we can literally play this out in so many ways. But this becomes really exhausting because you're constantly changing, and it's based on surviving, because you don't want it, because we've been taught like that's how we function in this world. But it's a combination of not being aware, and it can be a fear of not wanting to be seen for who you really are. Yeah, and I know I had this for a long time, and I can still get caught up in this pattern. But I've learned through training and doing this work with alchemy and seeing my creations and going for what's meaningful naturally, I've shifted more into the third component here, which is my character. Your character is who you really are. It's who you've always been from the moment you were born. You had a superconscious, which is your essence, and in that is your character. It's who you are when you're in your heart. It's made up of the specific traits that you exude when you're there. It's made up of your natural gifts, your talents, what you'd love to create, like the visions. And it's a very special place. And when you're connected into that, that's when your true nature comes to life. And that's when you show up as the same person in all different environments. Okay. Here's what matters from this principle, because now you're like, okay, Jordan, that's great theory. What do I do with this? You create the connection with your true nature, and you also create the connection with your identity. I want you to write that down. You don't, it's not something that just happens naturally. You've actually got to create the connection, right? And this is why my work is needed in the corporate space and in the business space, because lots of entrepreneurs and managers, executives that get this, they understand that their whole company, their whole team, their lives will completely change when they start to understand that a connection is needed between them and their character. Because without that, what's going to happen is you're constantly going to come from your identity. And your identity will always make your creations about you. And again, we know the dangers of that. They become limited. They become very egoic. They're not about service. They're not about expansion. They're just about keeping things in order. But when we're in our character and we're going for a vision that's bigger than ourselves and it's exciting and it's something that we love, that's when we really start to impact things. But you've got to create that connection. Don't get it twisted. You have to create that connection. It takes some work and it takes training, right? And this brings me to my second thing. Creating what you love, what you truly love, is what takes you to your true nature. Okay, and this principle, I'm not talking about having some passion projects. I'm not talking about, I'm just going to play the guitar more. I'm talking about in the parts of your life where things, they really matter to you. Your relationship, your career, maybe you've got a business, your travel life, your family. You want to be creating visions and things within those aspects that you love and not settling. Okay, and there's a lot of components to this. There's having a vision that matters for each of these areas of your life and choosing correctly that it's what you actually want. Because lots of people in these areas of life, and I know this was me, they're going after things that they think they need to want. They're going after things that they think they need to want. For example, in business, it's good that I want a lot of money, right? Now, again, there's nothing wrong with wanting a lot of money if that's a true desire, if that's a true superconscious vision from your character. But hey, most of us just want a lot of money because we're scared of being broke. Okay. But when we've got a vision that's actually, it's true, it's the truth. And it's not something we've felt obligated to have. Okay. That's when we come alive. That's when the connection between us and our true nature strengthens. And it begins to become this beautiful cycle where we see the vision, we go after, we take inspired action through bridges and intuitive downloads. We see the result come to life. And from that result, our connection with our character becomes stronger. And that feeds the next creation. It then enhances the vision even bigger. And then you're on to the next thing. And before you know it, people are going, you've changed. And you're like, really? How? I go, you're different. Your energy is very different. And you didn't do it because you meditated more and you came to a place like Ubud, right? I'm here because I got an intuitive download. I'm creating this experience for myself. I'm not here to meditate and connect to a mystical part of me. No, I came here because my character told me, dude, come here, right? I don't know what's going to be created. So far, I've got a beautiful hike out of this. I've made some new friends, new connections, and it's inspiring some other areas. I got some business ideas from it. I learned more about, my actual curriculum that I'm teaching to people from this hike that I didn't know would happen, but it happened. Okay. So when you create meaningful things, when you create things that you truly love and that you're not obligated to create, that's when this beautiful part of yourself, this powerful part of yourself comes to life. And believe me, when you're in this, your creations become a lot easier. And believe me, even if you're an executive listening to this and you're like, yeah, Jordan, but I have my boss and they're pushing targets and all of that kind of stuff. You don't get rid of the targets and you don't get rid of all the things that you essentially need to keep a business running on the day-to-day. You don't get rid of that. What you do is you set a meaningful vision for your department and then you work up and you go and pitch the importance of having that to your boss, right? Because it's not the targets that you're actually going for. The targets will be fulfilled as a byproduct of going for something that's meaningful, right? And again, you need to be trained on how to do that. This is what I work with my one-to-one clients on. It's like most of my clients right now are entrepreneurs, so they're the actual manager and the operator of their business. But we don't get into the targets. Okay, we set a massive vision and we let that vision tell us what targets we should set. Okay, now some of you might, oh, geez, but I'm getting fed the targets. Well, let's start to alchemize that. What vision can you set right now for yourself and for your team and your department? And then go up and pitch that to the boss. Time to be creative. Time to be creative. And yes, it's going to feel scary. And yes, it's going to be like, oh my God, man, that's a lot of work. I don't know. I could lose my job or whatever. You're scared to make your voice known. That's what true creators do. They put the stake in the ground. They go, this is the vision I care about. This is the vision I can see really expanding the company as a whole here. Okay. And if you have the courage, you don't know what will happen. Your boss may go, great. I never thought of that. Amazing. Let's shift the needle a little bit in terms of targets so we can go after this. Right. And again, that's some deep work and essentially what I take my clients through. So don't try and do this on your own. But it's just to get you to start thinking. It's not about the targets. It's not about the demands and the obligations that you have. It's about creating something that's fucking meaningful to what you're serving and meaningful to yourself. So you expand and the thing and the people and the companies and the families and your partner, they all expand as a result too. All right. Third and the last principle that I'll be sharing today. The way you stay connected to your true nature is you stay in the unknown. You always, so you start in the unknown, and the best way you can do that is start with nothing, let go of all your preconceived ideas of what needs to happen. And then secondly, stay in the unknown, because it's not about the how. The how happens naturally when you are so connected to creating what you love, because you've got so much emotion, and emotion's creative. When you are feeling that degree of emotion, you're firing up your nervous system and you're sending messages to your subconscious saying, we are on the look for opportunities that matches and that can take us towards this vision. And when that's happening, you will get to where you want to go. You will create things so much faster, so much easier, and in a way that serves yourself and everyone around you. So you're not shorthanding anyone in the deal or the relationship or the family. And you actually get to where you want to be. And this is people that go, yeah, great, Jordan, I'm in the unknown, but I think I should do this so I can get there faster. And it's really about surviving. What ends up happening is they'll create a form of this result, but it won't be successful. Okay, there's a classic example where I start with my clients. I go, listen, you got to understand, sometimes success is not success. It's like, yes, but we made all the money and your team hates you. Or, yes, my team, we've got a great culture. Everyone's happy and loves coming to work. Yeah, but you're not profitable. You're not creating anything. Or, oh, me and my partner never fight. Yeah, and you both, wearing masks around each other. You both don't know who you really are. You're having to suppress all the things that you would love to experience together or possibly without each other, to stay safe. This is where success isn't success. So the way you stay out of that mode of building a jail for yourself is you start with nothing and you stay in the unknown. That's the most powerful thing you can do. Okay. And we're going to do something right now that's going to give you an experience of this. So here's what I'd like you to do. I want you to shut down your eyes and just take a moment to bring an awareness to where you're at right now. Notice the thoughts that you've had throughout this episode. Notice the emotions that have accompanied those thoughts. And then notice how that's landed in the body, and particularly where. Maybe it's your back, maybe it's your neck, maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's you've got a sore throat. Sometimes that happens for people, whatever it is. Or maybe you don't have any negative emotions. Maybe you're really happy. listening to me. And you've had a great day. So you're feeling like all elated. Notice where those emotions are. Get a real picture and a sense of where you're at. And now in your mind, I'd like you to imagine that you are at work. You're at work right now. And you are looking at the team that you work with, the clients. Maybe if you work for yourself, you're at your laptop, or you're in your office waiting for the next person, the next client to come and see you. Whatever your scenario is, just imagine it. And imagine that you have ideas of how this is going to go. You've already got ideas of how this is going to go. Imagine you're thinking about how the client's going to show up. You're thinking about how they're going to see you, what they already think of you, and potentially the last meeting that you both had. Yeah, imagine that you had a meeting prior to this meeting and it went down a certain way. Maybe it was good, maybe it wasn't good. Just start to notice what's occurring in your body and in your thoughts and feelings as you were thinking this. And as you're doing that, I'd like you to change the angle. And I want you to imagine you've now arrived at home. You've arrived at home and you've walked in the door and your partner's waiting for you. I want you to imagine that you have some thoughts about your partner. You have some thoughts about yourself around your partner. And you also have some thoughts about how your partner is thinking and feeling about you right now. Take notice of what's occurring in your body. Okay, and now what I'd like you to do is just wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, and open up your eyes. Alrighty. Now, that was a very brief example of what it's like to be in your identity. When you are thinking about how you're being received and how others are looking at you, that is a classic example. In that meditation, we go much, much deeper in my workshops and coaching, but that's just a start. All right. Now we're going to flip the script. What I want you to do, just shake all that off, take a deep breath in. And as I count down from 3 to 0, when we hit 0, I want you to let it all go, what you just saw. 3, 2, 1. Let it all go. Shut your eyes again. And just imagine that you're draining out. You have no thoughts. You have no feelings about what you just saw. Your body is calm and you are becoming still. Take yourself there right now. What's it like to be still and to be completely empty? I want you to imagine, as you are embracing this stillness, that a golden circle begins to wrap around you. Just imagine this. And again, the way you imagine it is you picture that it's actually happening. You imagine that you can imagine it. A golden line. And again, however it's showing up is completely cool. Just imagine it's wrapping around you, forming as a circle, and you are standing in the middle. And once you're inside this circle, as you're really embracing this mode of stillness, I want you to define the circle as my true nature. Do that now. My true nature. Now, some things may be occurring inside as you've defined this circle. You might be getting some feelings, seeing some symbols. Again, you don't need to make sense of any of it. Just stay here for a moment. Embrace what's coming your way and stay in the unknown. Stay in the stillness. Now, what I want you to imagine is that inside this circle, your company environment, where you were just before, it joins you in the middle. Your office, your clients, and your team. And I want you to imagine from this lens, just imagine that you're looking at this particular spot. You're looking at this particular picture and you're observing. You're observing what is going on in your business life. Start to take notice of what's becoming obvious to you as you look at your business or you look at your work environment from this lens. What's standing out to you? And again, it might be nothing. It might be yourself. It might be certain things about your team members, your clients, your particular business product, what you sell, whatever it is. Just let it land. And now we're going to flip the script, and I want you to imagine that your work environment, your business leaves the circle, and now your home life joins you in the middle. You've walked in the door and you can see your partner, maybe your kids too. And again, while holding yourself in your true nature, just observe. Observe what's obvious. What's standing out to you when you look at your home and your family and your loved ones from this lens? And now what I'd like you to do is to just wiggle your toes and fingers, open up your eyes and bring yourself back. Okay, now that would have felt very weird for some of you. Some of you might have loved it. Some of you might have hated it. It's all good because that's essentially what it feels like to start to open up your intuitive orientation, where you start to receive things about your true nature. The next step is being able to interpret it, the information, so you can create a connection with it. That's deep work, but that's the start. All righty. Okay, guys. Well, thank you for joining this episode and listening in today. If you have enjoyed this podcast episode, what I'd love you to do is to leave a review on Spotify or comment on YouTube. Again, as I say, it's powerful for you because you're telling your subconscious what you've learned. And also, I love to hear from you guys, and it helps get this message out there to more entrepreneurs, managers, and executives who, want to up level their style of leadership, the way they show up in their company, so they can start to create meaningful success. That's what's most important here. We don't just want to create success for success sakes. We want to create meaningful success so everything around us can expand and we can live out our full potential. If you are ready to have a conversation about doing some work together, you know where to find me. Just head into the show notes and there is a link to book in a call. I'm running this particular modality and this line of work with companies at the moment, with teams, and also we have our one-to-one coaching container, which is incredibly powerful when it comes to connecting you into your true nature. So reach out if you are wanting to discuss that. But apart from that, guys, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to go and get some breakfast now. You stay inspired, and we will see you next week.